Right, hello. Yeah, this is dragged on a bit, this one, but I've had other stuff on. I've had a few busy sort of weekends, and I've been waiting for stuff to arrive. I've ordered some exhaust studs. I was going to originally just make some, cut off some bolts, some stainless steel bolts, and use the shafts, but I decided to order some because it's got an Allen key fitting at the end, and it'll just make things slightly easier. So I ordered some. They didn't arrive. I had to chase those up, and now they have arrived. So yeah, it's a case of drilling, tapping, fitting these helicoil thread inserts, and just sort of fiddly work really on this. There's a slight issue, which I'll show you in a minute, but it should be. I should manage to get this done, hopefully, and even finish today. So I can press the rig red button and see if this thing starts and sounds good, or sounds like it should do. So yeah, that is the plan for today. I'll take you over the kit I'll be using just for this little part of it. So here we go. These are the exhaust studs with the, as you can see in the end, they've just got an Allen key fitment. They're stainless steel, unlike the originals from BMW, which were mild steel. I've got some cobalt drill bits, some decent ones, which is a set I just buy and never use for jobs like this, where you've sort of got one shot at it and you don't want to mess anything up or leave anything to chance. I've also got these. These are my socket adapters to fit the taps, which are in this helicoil set. So these taps here, I need to fit that onto a socket so I can use it unimpeded by the engine space around it, etc. And this is a spacer, because I went a bit overboard with my Dremel for the first one of these exhaust studs I was trying to dig out, and I sort of I messed it up a bit, so I'm going to have to over drill that, fit in one of these sort of reducers, and then on that I'll put the exhaust stud. So that is what I'm going to be doing now. Yeah, if you have a look at those, it's this stud here. As you can see here, I've drilled it out. It needs to be drilled out a little bit more actually, and then tapped. So that's all reasonably simple. This one I overdid with the Dremel. I'm going to have to over drill that, fit that reducer I showed you a second ago. But the other ones, I've pilot drilled them, so they just need to be expanded out, tapped, and have these helicoils fitted, and hopefully that should go reasonably smoothly. So that is what I'm going to be doing now. Right, there you go. That's those two studs in. This one with the reducer, which is a bit of a pain fitting the reducer in the helicoil, but they're in now. As are those. Whew. And that was surprisingly easy actually. The drilling was the hard bit, drilling out all the steel studs, and then obviously just drilling in and tapping into those heads. It's all alloy, so it was easy enough. You just have to be careful because you're blind tapping, so you know, you just have to not overshoot the tap and go into the head proper. But yeah, it all looks good, so it's now time to reassemble. Right. It's pretty much all back together now, as much as it needs to be to test it. I'm not going to put on the sump pan and the crash bars and all that kind of stuff. What I need to do now is put the battery in. Everything is back on, the exhaust's back on. That all went reasonably well. No great problems with that. All the electrics back on, all the cylinder heads and furniture all back on. But yeah, like I say, I'm going to put the battery on and then I need to start it. And that's the big test. Hopefully it'll start. Right, I've just fitted the battery. It's the moment of truth. Let's see. Let's see what the score is. So, let us see. Well, there was no bang. It was a tiny bit rattly on startup, but that's sort of expected because the whole thing's drained of oil and then been refit. So I'm going to leave this running for a little while now and see if it's stripping oil or anything like that. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to film that because I want to be concentrating, but all looks good so far. Right, it's a couple of days after the last time the last clip probably, whatever. Yeah, the bike's done now, it's fixed. What happened was, I put it all back together, fired it up outside, and it was idling high. It started at about 2000 RPM, it should be about 1000. And then it sort of grew a little bit and it was intermittent. It's sort of, it was a bit off. There was obviously something a bit wrong with it. What I did when I took it apart, I sort of went a bit overboard and I took off this, which is the throttle body position sensor. Basically, this is the throttle body. You've got a butterfly inside it. The position of that, this senses it and sends it to the ECU. It does say don't take that off in the manual, otherwise it has to be reset by diagnostics equipment. I thought that was the problem, and I've booked the bike into a BMW garage down the road, but it wasn't the problem. I've since found the problem. It was my own fault. Basically, you've got this here, which you probably can't see because of the light, but this is the physical cable that goes to the throttle. This is the physical cable, and what it had done, obviously I took all this apart and moved it out the way. When I put it back together, I got this cable slightly kinked on this other cabling here, and it just pulled it out of its body at the top. So what had happened is basically it was pulling the throttle open, just on the left-hand side there. I saw that, and I've now corrected that. And it's absolutely sweet again. So I'll show you now. I'm not going to run it up for too long in here because it's enclosed. Pretty happy with that. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. It's I notice no difference. I haven't taken it for a ride yet, but certainly the sound of it and that, I've owned this bike for 5 years. I would know if there was a difference, and there isn't one. So I'm going to take it for a ride today, just to give it a bit of a shakedown, and I'm going to cancel my visit to Dick Lovett BMW place in Bristol because I don't need to now. So yeah, it's all been a tremendous success. I'm very happy with that. So yeah, I'm going to go and take it for a shakeout, and then I'm going to have a bit of a mop up with you, just to let you know sort of the prices, the costs of this job, the sort of issues that I've had, and the sort of benefits, advantages, disadvantages, whatever, of doing it this way. So I'm going to go for a ride, and I'll have a mop up a little bit later. Right, hello again. Yeah, I've done. I went out for a ride yesterday. I put about 20 miles on the bike, and I'm absolutely impressed with it. It's there's no change whatsoever. I was sort of no. I mean, when I put it all back together and did the work on it, I mean, I didn't see anything wrong. Other than the stuff I fixed. I obviously fixed up the head, and I used second-hand parts for the repair. But yeah, it's as good as it was before. It's all gone very well. So yeah, a bit of a sort of mop-up now, just out of interest really. The parts I used for that, the costings of them. Piston, I had to buy two, because they just happened to come in a set and they are handed for this. So piston I bought two, I've obviously only used one, 100 quid from Lithuania. Second-hand delivered. One of the valves was 42 quid, I believe, might have been 43 or something like that. That was the exhaust valve, and the larger valve was 20 quid. They were both from Motorworks, and again both second-hand. Exhaust studs, 4 of, came in a pack of 5. They were 12 quid. So parts alone are 174 quid, which is cheap as chips. I also spent about 70 quid on tools, which I needed and I didn't have. That included a set of helicoil, a complete set of helicoil thread replacement things. Of course I only used 4 of them. So I don't really count tools into the total because, they'll be used again, etc. But there was about 70 quid's worth. So the full total of everything is 244 quid. Which is very cheap. With a problem like that, I've obviously repaired it on a budget. I've done it cheap because the bike's 15 years old, etc. And I've got the space here. I've got my workshop, so I've got the space. I've got the tools, so I can do it. And I don't need the bike for work or for getting me about. If I wanted that repaired at BMW, it would have been prohibitively expensive. At the very least, it would have been a new head, new piston, probably about 6 hours work at 80 quid an hour plus VAT. It would have been thousands, at a minimum of 2 grand, minimum. They may have even said that I needed a new cylinder, and it'd just go on from there. So I could possibly have found a local independent garage to have done the work and asked them to, reuse the head, etc. And I would have probably got the work done for 12 or 1300, I would imagine. So I've obviously saved a lot by doing it myself. It wasn't a particularly difficult job. It took a bit of time because I had other things going on and I was waiting for parts, etc. But that's the first time I've ever done a head job on an engine, on a motorbike engine. I just followed the manual, and it wasn't very difficult. I've got a lot of experience with general workshop sort of procedures and stuff like that, but I'm not a mechanic, and it wasn't too difficult. So yeah, that's just a bit of a mop-up really from this job. 250 quid all in, which I'm very happy with, and the bike lives to see another day. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this sort of repair series of videos. I hope I don't have to do another job like that for a while. Follow-up work on that. I do intend to remove the other, to do the valve clearances on the other head, which isn't a big job, and I should really have done it, but I just haven't done it because it's taken everything out of me just doing that. You know what I mean? I've got all winter now, so I've got plenty of time to do that. So that is follow-up work. And the thing, I mean, I'm riding now. I've got a bit more respect for the engine now because I've never had a valve drop on me before. I don't ride this bike particularly hard, but I am a bit rough on it sometimes. I'm quite often hitting the rev limiter on it, and yeah, I think I'm just going to be a little bit more respectful of it now, just because I've had to work on it, and I've had a pretty catastrophic breakdown with it. So yeah, it's taught me a little bit more respect. It's not. I'm not going to thrash it about quite as much as I used to because it is getting on a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much all. So yeah, I'll see you later. Goodbye.